You can't see it, but you sure as fuck feel it. Your heart feels exhausted and sick. You try your best to take control of your mind, soul, and spirit, but it's no use, so you try the next best thing. Coping. Alcohol, or vape, weed, anything to numb the pain. Sugar, soda, food, video games. Before you had access to all these things, all you could do was fidget and squeeze so hard and look for peace and self-harm. They describe this feeling as anxiety, even though it feels like so much more. It prevents you from reflecting. Sometimes you just can't work and you procrastinate. But what is procrastination when you are too afraid to try? Nothing can exist when you are too afraid to let it. Trust, love, self-acceptance. You have to be brave to face reality. I'm talking about myself, and I believed in this fear. But is this fear anxiety or adrenaline? Let me explain. A mother full of fear gains the ability to lift a car off of her children.
And it was a scientist broke it down for me. He's like, Luke, you ain't gonna lift it. Like, the only way the human body can lift this kind of weight is if you trigger the fight or flight scenario. It's been proven of, like, people have car accidents, mothers lift cars off of their kids. And that's the instance he gave to me. He's like, you've got to put yourself in this kind of scenario. You've got to release that massive dump of adrenaline to get access to all your muscle fibers. A mother who's been in a car crash and the kids are trapped under the car, that massive dump of adrenaline, they've got access to 100% of the muscle fibers, and they can outstrip a strong man who's only got 50%. That was like a flick switch moment for me.
The same fear that keeps us away from fire, once controlled, is used to warm homes and create sustenance, aiding society in its transformation. Anxiety is not real. Stimulus is the same, and how you respond to this fight or flight feeling, this anxiety or adrenaline, is on you. Anxiety is one side of the coin, but this coin is not flipped out of mere chance. You're in control. You can choose heads or tails at any second, from tears of sadness to tears of joy. It's your decision. Anxiety, a feeling of fear, dread, or uneasiness that can be a natural response to stress or threat. Today, our society treats anxiety as an industry. Try telling someone you feel anxious, and 9 times out of 10, they tell you you need medication. Only a man-child would sit and pretend that the feeling of fear and dread has not been here since the dawn of mankind, because it has. Whether it's due to ancient animals, fear of war, the need for adrenaline has always been here, and those who choose anxiety lose. Nowadays, anxiety for most is choosing instant gratification over delayed gratification. Drugs, alcohol, and video games over reality. Why are you grinding 400 hours for a camel or binge watching anime when you have no love stories or adventures of your own? 400 hours at $15 an hour is $6,000 before tax. And that time you wasted doing aim training could be spent gaining actual skill, even if it's just becoming competent, or reflecting on your reality, or calling your family and building stronger bonds. The instant gratification you choose is the reason you feel in a fight or flight, as you continue to flee from your reality. It can come in the form of being insecure, which has become a blanketed term for being welcome. If you have standards, someone will walk along and call you insecure, but the same goes for yourself. If you do not meet the standards you set for yourself, this insecurity comes in the form of anxiety. If your identity is a fighter and you have not reached that goal yet, you will feel anxious as you have not met your own standards. Speaking on the standards you set for yourself, your self-identity is the frame your mind, body, and soul use to process information. For example, someone whose inner being sees themselves as weak receives the information or stimulus around them, and in turn they make weak decisions and take weak actions. So let's put this into action. The tale of 2 brothers. They have the same dad who's an alcoholic, and one chooses to be just like his father, while the other chooses to never touch alcohol. I like to put this in the frame of Aristotle of a vice versus a virtue. Take wealth. Someone who hogs wealth for themselves without sharing, taking as much as they can, is greedy. On the other side, if that same person shares, giving his wealth, and earns it by providing, he is now generous.
In this video, we are building and giving away 100 houses.
The stimulus is the same, being wealth, but the actions and self-identity are different, which leads to the next point. Self-identity is linked to action. The easiest way to become anything is through action. The more healthy foods and actions you take, the healthier you will be. Just as the more unhealthy foods and actions you take, the more your health will decline. The story mentioned above is not to show choice, but to show action. Your choices are your actions, and your actions are your identity. If you lie, you are a liar. If you steal, you are a thief. If you give, you are a giver. You must take the brave actions if you want to be brave. Anxiety is a stimulus, but what you do with it determines what you are. A strong man, both physically and emotionally, feels anxiety and turns it into adrenaline. He turns it into peace. He doesn't feel anxiety. He feels driven. He feels alive. He feels passion. He feels the fear of failing and doesn't care because even if he is scared, he chooses to be strong and he takes the brave choice, the brave action.
Look, just relax, Michael. Relax, just relax. Just relax. Relax. Yeah, but just relax. Just relax. When we first started. Yeah, well, just relax.
Coping is not brave. Virtual reality and video games are not brave. Taking steroids is not the brave option.
You mentioned from personal experience being aware of the dark side of anabolic use.
Psychiatric problems, anxiety, like you would not believe. Every day that I'm on high doses, I wake up in the morning afraid of the rest of my day. Aggression. I don't want to live like that. It's terrible. Intrusive thoughts. I think about violence all the time. Well, if your testosterone is 25 times what it's supposed to be, what the hell do you think it's going to make you think about? Another one is a marked proximate reduction of IQ. I'm not as smart right now, and I can feel it.
Choose the brave option and watch your anxiety melt away. Deep down, your self-identity is telling you to thrive. So when you are doing nothing but coping, consuming short-form content and wasting away, how can you expect to feel anything but shame? You pursued shame and didn't listen time and time again to the lessons you should have learned. And it's one lesson: be brave. What is a brave man or woman? A brave individual takes brave actions. They smile in the face of fear. They relax in the scary. They do not live for peace. They live to create peace when they feel uneasy with their situation. Every action you take is behavioral therapy to determine your bravery. To eliminate anxiety, you must be brave. Principles of bravery. Concept number 1. No more coping. Coping is any device that allows you to escape reality or reinforce weak behavior. The easiest way to end a life of cope is to keep the same stimulus and replace it with competence. For example, instead of scrolling through shorts to cope with your feelings of anguish and to distract yourself from dealing with reality, just ask questions to ChatGPT. Ask it how things you don't know function. Ask it questions on everything on your mind and gain knowledge and competence. Imagine over the course of a year, 52 weeks, 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, all your questions answered. That's 728 hours of knowledge gained. You have now turned your anguish into becoming knowledgeable. Concept number 2, behavioral therapy. No knowledge is true unless it's applicable. Just like a hypothesis, it needs to be tested. And wisdom, also known as skill, is knowledge plus experience. You can teach an entire population how to punch, but if they lack experience, they'll never be better than Floyd Mayweather. Because it's not only if, it's when, it's how, it's why, and that is what experience teaches you. So in order to build principles of bravery, you must apply it to skill. For example, confrontation. If you want to be a master at confrontation, you must practice confrontation. And boxing is a sport of confrontation. Practicing boxing and learning to attack, defend, dodge, slip teaches you that you are capable of dealing with confrontation. Now you can apply this confidence to other aspects of your life. For example, speaking. Through learning in boxing, you learn about repetition, training, using different techniques, and when you apply that to speaking, learning tone, practicing on the regular, learning new vocabulary and articulation, you have used boxing correctly as behavioral therapy. That is now only useful for your outer workings, but your emotional and mentality as well. For example, when boxing, you learned emotional strength through changing your mindset from "this is too hard for me" and "I'm scared to be punched," and the anguish and the fear to "I can do this, I can deal with fear. Even when a punch is coming at me, there's always a way to dodge, parry, and counter with my own." Your brain and heart are there with you as you make choices and brave actions. The final lesson is that there should be no process. There should be no other choice, and you do that by throwing away your second identity. You throw him away, you let go, and you turn away. If every time you need to perform, you have to sit there and contemplate or cope before realizing you hate that lifestyle, you will not be as competitive. In the paradigm of a fight, if every time you throw a punch you need to think on the entire technique and whether or not you should throw it, you will lose just as any other decision. If you cannot accept bravery, you will never be brave. If you cannot accept action, no actions will ever take place. Through bravery, you can find yourself being your own best friend, as the genuineness of picking yourself up is an act of love that is truly desirable. You'll find yourself willing to express and talk to yourself because being brave makes you safe, as you're comfortable around yourself, because you know when shit hits the fan, you will choose the brave option, creating peace where there is chaos.